Welcome back to My Dad Watches The Bachelor. I'm Meredith, and I'm here with my co-host, my dad.
Hello, Meredith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited. This is my favorite episode of every season. However, I do not feel prepared or confident in any of my picks.
And so this is the episode where we're going to review all of the Bachelor candidates and give our quick knee-jerk reactions and try to pick our final four winners and so on and so forth.
Yes, that is correct. Mom always tells me not to be judgy, but this is the exception.
So before we get into that, I want to say something because I listened to a little bit of our podcast last week. I don't always listen to the whole thing. Usually I remember what you and I say, but I felt that it's important to remind listeners of my role here and that I am not a fan of this show and that my role is to remind you and your generation that this is not the right way to go about picking your significant other. And this is not good. I'm here to provide that balance to you and to other people and to remind you that you should be meeting your significant other the old-fashioned way, like we did, like in bars or at work or that sort of thing.
On the internet, via dating apps.
If you had told me that 3 years ago, I would have quickly said, no, that's not right. But during times of pandemic, perhaps that is now becoming more acceptable.
Dad, I actually had a boyfriend pre-pandemic that I met via a dating app, and you seemed okay with that. Or maybe you just didn't know that.
You don't tell me everything, which is good.
Okay, well, I think our listeners know now that you, stick your nose up at the Bachelor franchise. You are not a fan of it, and that you are just here to guide us back towards the light.
We're just watching the car wreck. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so, like I said before, I don't feel confident in my picks. Usually, as I go through, there are a couple guys that stand out to me as like, okay, these guys seem promising, and no one really stuck out to me much this season. So these picks, I could go 4 for 4 on first night boots. Who knows?
Well, I was so usually what you and I do is we sort of talk through each of the candidates, and they're almost 30. There might be 30 of them out
30,
there.
I think.
If you go to the ABC's website for The Bachelorette, you can see all of these bachelors. And they're all, very, you're handsome dudes for the most part. So, and they're in alphabetical order. The first one is Alec.
Yes, Alec is 29 years old. He's an engineer, which, for the record, for this franchise is an impressive career. He is from North Charleston, South Carolina, which I spent 7 years in South Carolina. So this is Alec is looking good to me. He loves to read GQ magazine and doesn't think that bowling makes for a romantic night out. What are your thoughts on bowling, Dad?
I don't know if I would say it's romantic, but I think it's a fine date. I think, you can have fun bowling.
I like bowling, but I think that it's a little uncomfortable, after you throw the ball and then you turn around back to the group and you walk, like, it feels like a real walk of shame. Like it just feels uncomfortable.
I think you need a new group if you're feeling that way. Come on. So Alec, when I saw that he reads GQ magazine, I wrote self-absorbed. I'm not sure he needs to be reading GQ magazine. And he says that he values integrity above all else. And I wrote wrong show for you. So I don't think he will be here long.
Yeah, I didn't have too many thoughts on Alec. I liked his career, liked the South Carolina boy, but, didn't really stand out to me other than that.
Okay, let's move along.
Brandon J., 26-year-old traveling nurse recruiter from Portland, Oregon. He's a self-proclaimed basketball fiend, which I think we start to see basketball as a recurring theme through these men, which I'm sure is purposeful, as Michelle is a basketball player. He once hopped on the stage during a Lil Wayne and Drake concert. Very curious to see how he was then forcibly removed from said stage.
Well, I for some reason, and maybe it was the basketball piece, and as we discussed last week, Michelle is a college basketball player, former college basketball player. We're assuming there's going to be a basketball stuff going on here. So I sort of took note of him and put a little check mark next to his name.
Okay, well, I took note that he has no interest in ever going bungee jumping. So I think that we should, maybe place a bet here on the odds that this guy gets a bungee jumping one-on-one date.
Okay, well, you let me know what those stakes are. I don't know if we seen bungee jumping dates before.
I think Hannah Brown had a naked bungee jumping one-on-one date.
Okay. See, that's your generation. Come on. Naked bungee jumping? No. Let's move on.
Brandon Kay is next. He's 29 years old, a brand manager from Austin, Texas, who loves the cha-cha slide.
Yeah, and he's looking to make the world a better place and have a social impact. So I'm questioning why he's here.
And I think that he's lame because he always buys travel insurance.
Yeah,
Brandon.
Yeah. I think that that's a little too sane for this show. So let's move along.
Brian is 31 years old, an NFL player from Chicago, Illinois. I like to look into these men's stats when they say that they're professional players. So Brian, offensive guard who went to South Dakota State University, currently a free agent.
That means you're not an NFL player, but go ahead.
Since 2014, when he signed with the Houston Texans, he has been waived/released by the Saints, Cowboys, Chiefs, Browns, Dolphins, Panthers, and Falcons.
So he gets around.
But he did get to play in all 16 games for the Chiefs in 2017 and played a couple with the Bears in 2018. So he has seen the field, which I think he might be our first Bachelorette contestant who's actually played in an NFL game.
Okay. Well, look, anyone that even gets to an NFL training camp must be has got some athletic skills. So I in no way mean to say anything bad about Brian. So good for him. His older sisters made him watch rom-coms. And in his little bio, it says that he's all about making big moves. So I did put, question mark, is he a candidate for the first initial rose? I don't know. Somebody could come out of the gates hot. Could be him. Who knows?
He wrote that he loves philosophy and would love to ask Socrates a few questions. To me, I think that I would not enjoy speaking with him.
Well, Michelle seems to be have some additional interests. I mean, I think she seems like an interesting person. So I'm not as worried about what your thoughts are about him as Michelle's. I'm trying to think like Michelle.
Well, I think that my brain is closer to Michelle's brain than your brain.
I think that's fair.
All right. Okay. Next, we have Casey, 36 years old, an advertising creative director from Miami Beach, Florida. I don't have the pictures up, but I wrote, this man is very attractive.
Yes, he's also 36, which, for this show is a little bit old. So, and I think his bio said he's outgrown the Miami dating scene, wants to give his mom grandbabies. I don't know. That just made me feel a little uncomfortable that, I've gone through all the girls in Miami, so I'm coming on this show. Didn't do it for me.
Okay. Well, he likes camping, but hates sleeping in tents. I also don't enjoy a tent. I don't really enjoy camping either, but I like that he doesn't like the tents. I put him as a possible top 4 contender. He's attractive, mature. He raises money for philanthropic ventures. He's an adult.
Well, he's an adult. He's one of the older people on the show. But I know that your favorite football player is Tom Brady, who also is older for his profession. He's still doing pretty darn well.
Yes, exactly. Next, we have Chris G., 28 years old, motivational speaker. Hopefully he represents motivational speakers better than Carl did last season. And he is from Nova Scotia, Canada. He loves escape rooms. I think escape rooms are very fun. Have you ever done one?
I've done one once. I did not escape though.
Oh, wow. That's sad. Okay. He enjoys performing spoken word poetry and has two cats, one named Cat and one named Small Cat. So this guy could be really funny or kind of mental. It's really hard to determine from just a bio.
Yeah, I guess now I have this knee jerk reaction when I see motivational speaker, which I guess I tie back to Carl of,
Mhm.
oh, he should be the villain. But then he's from Canada, and none of these, all the guys that seem to come from Canada seem pretty mellow and easy to get along with. Um, I'm not sure what to do with him.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Next, we have Chris S., who's 28 years old. He's a commodities broker from West Hollywood, California. And this man has quite the jaw if you look at his photo. He is a hunk. He loves to travel, and burnt pizza makes him mad.
Well, burnt pizza makes me mad too. I really like my pizza. It also says he gives a mean blue steel face. Is that what does this mean?
I had to Google it, and I don't remember what it was. I think it's a movie, part of a movie.
Okay. Yeah. So it's our listeners out there should look that one up. Blue steel face. Not sure what this means.
Yeah. Well, based on the bios we've seen so far, this man seems very vanilla, very normal, which put him in my possible top 4 contender.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, next we have Clayton, 28-year-old medical sales rep from Columbia, Missouri. His mom is a teacher, like Michelle. He had a mohawk in college, and his rapping alter ego is named Claydo, as in Play-Doh, like the child's toy.
So a couple things stood out to me there. Number one, he's from Missouri. Michelle is from Minnesota. Sort of a Midwestern sort of potential connection. The fact that his mom is a teacher and Michelle is a teacher, got something to talk about there. So I put a check mark of interest next to Clayton.
Yes, I put him as a possible top 4 contender as well.
Okay.
Next, we have Daniel, 26-year-old firefighter from Austin, Texas. His favorite thing in the world is being an uncle to his 6 nieces, and he really wants to know if aliens exist.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, I mean, very normal question.
Yeah.
He is a Connect 4 champ and loves Christmas music. I mean, who doesn't love Christmas music?
Is it time to start playing the Christmas music?
I think we have a couple more weeks until it becomes culturally appropriate.
Yes, saying that you're a Connect 4 champ didn't strike me as a grand skill. I don't know. He seems fine. Didn't really stand out to me.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we have Edward, who is 27 years old. He's a wellness coach from Los Angeles, California. He dreams of visiting Disney World one day. Probably not that different from Disneyland, to which he is very close by. And he enjoys listening to John Mayer's music, especially on road trips. And I love some good John Mayer music, so I respect that choice.
It sounded a little mellow to me, and I wrote "Dream Bigger." As far as visiting Disney World, says that he is emotionally articulate and has an appetite for learning and personal growth. Which, again, to me, if that's true, I don't think that being on this show would be the way to scratch that itch.
I think you can come away from the show with a lot of personal growth. You learn so much about yourself on the television. I think it could happen.
He looks like that guy from the last season that drove up in the Winnebago. I don't know. He I don't know, something about him. Not on my list.
Okay. He didn't really do much for me either. Next, we have Garrett, 33-year-old tech CEO from Salt Lake City, Utah. Dropped out of college to start what has become an incredibly successful tech company. Looked him up on LinkedIn to get the real scoop here. His company is called Dark Energy. And per my LinkedIn research, his company makes innovative destruction-tested products for the modern hunter.
Well,
Makes military-grade hunting technology. It creates a safer, longer, and more enjoyable hunting experience. We're not much of a hunting family, so this really doesn't interest me at all. I actually dislike it, but good for Garrett.
so I mean, when I read in his bio that he started in an incredibly successful tech company, just that makes me suspicious. You've done more research. Kudos to you to see that he actually has a company. And I wrote that I don't like his hair, so I was down on him. I wasn't crazy about his hair.
Okay, I need to look at these pictures. Garrett, his hair is fine. I think his hair is fine.
Maybe I'm jealous of his hair. I don't know, but I didn't like his hair.
I think that we have bigger hair issues the further we get into these bios.
Okay.
Next, we have Jack. He is 30, a former Army officer from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He will throw up at the sight of an onion. So I kind of hate him because I don't enjoy puke and I do enjoy onions. So grow up, Jack. Be a man.
You would think that if you've been in the Army, you've seen some pretty tough stuff. You would think that an onion wouldn't be what triggers one to throw up.
Yeah, he's also afraid of dancing. And so I wrote that 2 out of 3 of his fun facts are lame, so I officially declare him a loser.
Well, let's respect his service and not call him a loser, but let's say for this particular show, not going to be a winner.
We can respect his service and not enjoy his personality.
Well, we haven't really got to see his personality yet, but he's not high on my list either.
Not a good look for the city of Philadelphia.
Let's move along.
Next, we have Jamie. He's 32 years old, a biotech CEO from San Diego, California. He is the type of guy who will show up at the airport and let the ticketing agent decide his destination. Yes, he actually did this. I hate that. How are you supposed to pack for that kind of trip?
Good question. He claims that he has never watched an episode of reality TV, so I wrote that he's either a liar or he's in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, I said that he's in for quite the adventure.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why he's here. If you've never watched reality TV, how do you even know about this show?
Yeah, so, I put him as some villain potential. He seems kind of pompous to me, a little arrogant.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, next we have Joe, 28-year-old real estate developer from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's Minnesota born and raised, so that's an easy connection for him and Michelle. He played basketball at the University of Minnesota, another easy connection. Scared of spiders, respectable. Loves snacks, respectable. And wants to travel to the Galapagos Islands one day. This seems like the most obvious winner pick to me based off of a bio.
It's almost too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, that is my concern there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had him check mark. A lot of you got the Midwest connections, the Minnesota connection, you got the basketball. Looks like a handsome fellow.
Yeah, he's cute. He kind of gives me Ivan vibes. Do you remember Ivan from Tayshia's season?
Yeah, and also, what was the guy that you really liked last year until he went insane at the end?
Greg?
Yeah, Greg. I mean, Joe's an introvert. Was sort of quiet. Greg was sort of that quiet, under the radar kind of guy. So I wonder if Joe might be that as well.
Well, speaking of Greg, I did see a TikTok this morning that there are rumors that Greg and Kesha are dating.
Greg and who?
Kesha? Do you know who Kesha is?
Oh, the entertainer. She was not a person from the show or anything like that.
Like the singer Kesha.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of. Is it Tesha? Kesha? Yeah, I've heard of that.
With a dollar sign.
Okay.
Okay, next.
We almost put a dollar sign after in your name, Meredith. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of S's there. That would have worked well.
That's why we didn't do it.
Next, we have Jomari. He's 26-year-old personal trainer from Fresno, California. He eats an entire watermelon every morning, to which I say, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a little bit strange. He's a they his bio says that he is a gentle giant. His dream is to own a gym, looking for simple, athletic, and goofy, which to me, Michelle sort of fits that criteria. Michelle seems a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
Good fit. But yeah, the watermelon thing was weird.
Watermelon is very filling. It is mostly water. How can you eat a full watermelon
Well, he's a
every single
giant.
day?
He's a giant. Maybe he needs to eat a lot of watermelon.
And then he would love to be a tour guide in Antarctica, which might make his watermelon for breakfast every morning difficult.
Yeah, I would think it would be expensive to get the watermelon there. So,
Okay.
all right.
Next, Leroy, 27-year-old biomedical PhD student from Dallas, Texas. He was born in Italy to parents who immigrated from Ghana and then moved with his family to the U.S. in pursuit of the American dream. He loves go-karting, doesn't like to gamble, and is a big fan of breakfast in bed.
Again, I just don't know why a biomedical PhD student is on the show. That sort of threw me off a little bit. So I wasn't really sure what to do with Leroy. Although he's got an interesting backstory.
Yeah, I think that with an interesting backstory, smart guy, attractive, seems normal. He's potential Final Four for me.
Okay, all right. Let's move on.
Okay, next we have LT, 38-year-old yoga guru. I don't know how to pronounce where he's from. Bellevue, Washington.
Yeah.
And he loves his 2 pet Savannah cats, which I had to Google. Apparently, it is a cross between a domestic cat and a medium-sized wild African cat. He lives for a good spin class and has one tattoo, and it's his grandfather's initials over his heart. I had nothing interesting to say about LT.
And again, I don't mean to be ageist, but he's 38. Not sure why he should be on this show. Yoga guru. I don't see him really getting along with the other guys. I'm not sure a yoga guru can qualify as villain, but I'm not sure that's going to work out very well for LT.
I think Michelle is going to be looking for more of a businessman beau, not like a yoga guru beau.
Yeah. Okay.
Next, we have Martin, 29-year-old personal trainer from Miami, Florida. If we want to talk hair problems, this is at the top of my list. I hate his hair. He's got it bleached blonde at the top of it. Very, it's not natural at all. Not a good look for our friend Martin. His family emigrated from Argentina when he was 10 years old, which is a cool backstory there.
Yeah, and it says that you can find him working out on Miami beaches, perfecting his physique. Sounds a little self-absorbed to me.
Yeah, but he can cook basics very well. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Pasta?
Cereal? I don't know. I'm good with the cereal.
I will say that I watched the trailer for Michelle's season during the Bachelor in Paradise finale, and I did notice Martin's hair in it a lot. So it looked like he was involved quite a bit. I don't know if that's involved at the beginning with drama or if he makes it far, but there was a lot of Martin's hair that I noticed.
It does stand out. It sort of glows a bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was not big on Martin.
Me neither. Next, we have Malik, 36-year-old academic administrator from San Diego, California, and he is following in Martin's footsteps with the rough hair. Also bleached the top of his, not a good look. He has an 8-year-old son, doesn't like frogs, and has his motorcycle license.
And he describes himself as a domesticated Renaissance man, which, okay, that sounds fine. I mean, if somebody describes me as that, that's fine. I'm not sure I would describe myself as that.
Didn't you know that the domesticated Renaissance man's favorite author is Nicholas Sparks?
Was he the Nicholas Sparks saying that does not qualify as Renaissance man? That's not good.
To me, Nicholas Sparks guy is hey, I'd like to get into your pants. I really like Nicholas Sparks.
Let's move along.
Next is Nate. He's 27. He's a sales executive from Austin, Texas. He is 6'8". So we're talking giants. Meet Nate. He dreams of visiting the Taj Mahal. Can't dance to save his life, which, like, fair. He's a giant, and he likes edible arrangements.
I don't know. For some reason, he stuck out to me a little bit. And maybe because of his height, the fact that Michelle seems to be relatively tall for a young lady. She's a basketball player, so I just wonder if there is a potential connection there, and I wonder if he might be a first impression rose candidate in that he says he's live for the party. He's a tall guy. He's going to stand out. So I just wonder if that's a possibility there.
Okay. Next, we have Olamide. I might be mispronouncing that, but he is 27 years old, an IT analyst from Newark, New Jersey. He's a former D1 basketball player at Rutgers. He was a forward, played from 2012 to 2016, and the most points he scored in a single game is 9.
He played Division I basketball. We'll give him credit for that. Other than that, didn't see much in the description to make me think he's going to be there that long.
Yeah, I thought he could be top 4 pick because of the basketball, and he seems attractive, but there does seem to be a lot of basketball going on within these men.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Pardeep. He's a 30-year-old neuroscientist from Brooklyn, New York. He studies the brain to find cures for diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and I don't think he's going to fit in well.
Why is a neuroscientist here? Go do good works, Pardeep. I don't think this is the show that you should be on.
Maybe he's secretly doing research on the brain with the other contestants, trying to understand what types of people go on this show.
Not a lot of brain activity going on here. I think Pardeep could find a better place to be doing his research.
Well, he also loves New Year's because he loves new beginnings, so this could be the start of a new beginning for him as an influencer as he leaves his life of neuroscience behind.
It could be a quick end for him as well, so we'll see if he lasts the first day.
All right, next we have Peter, 26-year-old pizzapreneur, a.k.a. he owns his own pizzeria. He is from Port St. Joe, Florida, and he doesn't like libraries.
Well, not that many people actually go to libraries these days, which is unfortunate. Libraries are a good thing. I don't know. So I had mixed feelings about Peter, maybe because pizza is one of my favorite foods. He went to Italy to study how to make pizza. He loves red wine, considers himself a vino head. I don't really like his hair. He's got one of these really tight cuts. So I don't like the hair that much. He said that he loves deep house music. I think it was deep house music, which I had to do a little Googling to figure out what that was. I don't think I'm that into it. But I just thought that was interesting. But to me, he had an interesting backside story. The fact that he went to Italy, studied how to do this, likes the wine. I don't know. I was a little intrigued by Peter. Maybe it's the pizza. I don't know.
Okay, I think that he's like a potential villain pick, personally.
He looks like he looks like he could certainly be a villain.
Yeah, his face kind of looks like someone that could be like one of the bad guys in a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have PJ, 30-year-old firefighter from Houston, Texas. He loves to pass the time by working on Rubik's Cubes, which I'm not good at a Rubik's Cube, but it's my understanding that if you know how to solve one, it's like a pretty quick process. You don't really like pass the time doing it.
Maybe he's just been working on it for 10 years, passing the time.
Yeah, maybe he's just never been able to solve it. I don't know.
Getting closer.
And he does not enjoy the opera. I had nothing interesting to say about PJ.
Well, I thought he was a handsome guy. Yeah, but again, I'm not sure. There are a lot of handsome guys that are going to show up on this show, so I'm not sure that that's going to take them all the way.
Okay. I have next we have Rick, 32-year-old medical sales rep from Los Angeles, California. Loves his dog. Um, the movie Hitch taught him everything he needs to know about life, which I watched that movie once and I don't remember much about it, but I think that that's not a good statement.
Yeah, I think that's a Will Smith movie, and
Yeah.
it was fine, but I'm not sure that should be your guiding star for life.
Yeah, and he's not a fan of double dates. I quite enjoy double date, but if he's not liking double dates, I don't think he's going to do well in a group date.
Probably not. And for some reason, there was the hashtag swoon in his bio. Is that the editorial comment by the people that run the Bachelor stuff, or do you think he is? Is that something he put in there, or what do we think?
Let's hope he didn't put it in there.
Okay, he's looks again handsome guy, but I'm not sure he's any more handsome than any of the other guys on this thing. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay, next, Rodney, 29-year-old sales rep from Rancho Cucamonga, California. He dreamed of playing in the NFL until a career-ending injury occurred. He's afraid of possums, is terrified of being catfished, and is very into intermittent fasting, but only on a weekday. As a notorious snacker, this sounds like my personal nightmare.
Yeah, and it says his NFL dreams were derailed by a career-ending injury. Now he has a great job that he enjoys as a sales rep. I find that somewhat questionable. I wanted to be an NFL player. Now I'm a sales rep. It's going great. I'm loving life. Let's go on The Bachelor and turn into the influencer or whatever it is. So I didn't get a warm fuzzy on that one.
That's fair. Okay, next we have Romeo. He's a 32-year-old mathematician from New York City, New York. He is a Harvard graduate. Our last Harvard graduate was our friend Bennett from Claire and Tasha's season. And he's very interested in clean technology and studied Japanese for 3 years in college. I think Romeo might be too smart for his colleagues on the show.
Yeah, I wrote, what does a mathematician do for a living? I don't know if this is a Goodwill Hunting situation or what. I'm just not sure what a mathematician does. Is he teaching at a college? I'm not sure why he's on this show. So didn't have high hopes for Romeo.
Me neither. Next is Ryan, 30 years old. He's an environmental consultant from San Jose, California. His family has a raisin ranch in Central California, which this might be a dumb question. Is like a raisin ranch just like one step past a vineyard?
Yeah, I think if you don't take good care of your grapes, they turn into raisins. So, maybe is a raisin ranch a failed vineyard? I don't know.
He's obsessed with ice cream trucks and loves spreadsheets.
And he's a planner who makes lists. So between that and spreadsheets, he seems a little bit too organized for this particular show. You got to really go with the flow here.
Yeah, you don't even get to know what time of the day it is on this show. So I don't think he's going to thrive in this environment.
Agree.
Next, we have Spencer, 25-year-old financial crimes analyst from Cleveland, Ohio. That's a sick job title. He is a single father, loves to spend time in the hot tub, so he has come to the right place. And he hates movies that require all of his attention. So I guess he hates good movies.
Well, and they don't provide a lot of details in terms of his son, which I guess is fine. I think to some degree the cards can be stacked against people that come on the show that have children, and that they're just that's a real challenge. They're not going to be with their child. Asking someone to become a stepmother or a father, a stepmother in this case, that's a big ask. So I think it's just a real challenge for folks like that. So anyway, I'm I'm not thinking he's going to get that far.
Yeah, I agree. All right, our last bachelor is Will. He's 28 years old. He's an academic interventionist from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He hates getting money as a gift, and he's a Leo and is very into horoscopes, which I think is a major red flag. Anyone that's into horoscopes, not interested.
And he describes himself as classy, swaggy, and smart. To me, he looks like he might be a little too stylish for his own good. There, I'm something about him just didn't strike me as he's going to connect to Michelle. But what do I know?
I put him as a potential villain pick just because of the horoscopes.
Well, no, that's as good as any reason at this point.
All right, so we've gone through all the bios now. Let's talk villains. Who do you have as your villain pick of the season?
So I am taking as my villain the Garrett, the tech CEO from Salt Lake City,
Okay.
who has the incredibly successful tech company. I don't know. I don't like his hair, and I don't know. I just think that these people that are coming in as CEOs sometimes might think they're know-it-alls and could rub people the wrong way. So I'm taking Garrett as my villain.
Okay. Respectable choice. I am picking Peter, the 26-year-old pizzapreneur, as my villain. We talked about his look, how he could look like a Disney villain. But also, there's got to be a reason why ABC's like giving him a dumb job title of pizzapreneur instead of like restaurant owner, small business owner. Like, it's very easy that they could have done that, but they went pizzapreneur. He doesn't like libraries. He's rubbing me the wrong way.
I think half these guys don't know what a library is, but whatever. Okay.
All right. Should we do first impression rose next?
Okay, we're going to do first impression rose. I had it down to a couple.
Well, you have to pick one.
I know. I'm looking. I had. I'm going with Nate, the 6'8" Adonis of a man who is the life of the party. As I said, maybe he's just going to stand out. I'm throwing darts here, but he's a big target. So I'm going with Nate.
Okay. I went with Joe because they have so much in common. He is from Minnesota. He played basketball. I think he's gonna help Michelle feel more at home and comfortable that first night. So I think she's going to gravitate towards that at the beginning.
Okay. I think that's a fair pick. I don't know. We're guessing here.
All right, so now we're going into our top four. I don't feel great about anything here, so hit me with your first top four.
So my first one is Brandon Jay, the traveling nurse recruiter from Portland, who considers himself a basketball fiend. He hopped on stage during a concert, so maybe he's just willing to put it out there. Who knows? So I've got Brandon Jay.
Okay. My first pick is Chris S. He's the commodities broker from Hollywood. He is very attractive, has a nice jawline, and he seemed pretty normal based on his bio. Burnt pizza made him mad. His friends describe him as goofy, easygoing. Like, he just seems very vanilla, like a normal guy that someone would date.
And he's the one with the blue steel face. So we will have to do more research on that if he makes it through the first night.
We will.
So, all right. My next one is Clayton, the medical sales rep from Columbia, Missouri. The mom is a teacher, from the Midwest, potential connections there. So I'm going with Clayton.
I also picked Clayton for those reasons. I felt like they had a lot of potential connections. and he seemed like a nice guy.
Okay. All right. Very good. My next one was Joe, your first impression guy. Again, he's from the Midwest. He's from Minneapolis. He's from Minnesota. Played basketball. I was sort of picking up this sort of Greg introvert type vibe from this, 2 sentences I read him. So Joe is on my list.
I picked Joe too.
Okay.
So same reasons, a lot of connections. But I didn't want him as my winner pick because I felt like it was just too obvious. But I think that he is Final Four material. So who is your last top 4? Let's see if we have 3 out of the 4 same picks or just 2.
Well, my last one, and I'm not sure why I picked him at this point. Jamari, who is a personal trainer from Fresno, gentle giant, wants to own a gym, looking for simple, athletic, and goofy. And I guess to me that sort of felt like a good fit with Michelle.
This is the watermelon boy.
It was the watermelon boy. So he's a little bit weird, but goofy. So anyway, I'm going with Jamari.
Okay. My last top 4 pick is Leroy. He's the 27-year-old biomedical PhD student from Dallas, born in Italy, emigrated from Ghana, moved to the U.S. I think he has an interesting backstory. He's an attractive guy, smart enough to be getting a PhD, and seems pretty normal.
Okay, that sounds good. So we have to. You want me to choose a winner out of these?
Yes, one of your 4 who is winning.
None of them really stood out to me. I mean, I sort of have the same feeling as you about Joe, in that it just something seems a little too easy there. They might be trying to lead us down that path. So I'm going to pick Clayton.
Okay. I picked Leroy as my winner. So.
And we're just guessing. Now, I will tell you that somebody that I was considering for my top 4 was Peter, the pizza entrepreneur guy, because I like pizza so much, but you talked me out of him.
Oh, well, I wish I could have talked you out of a watermelon boy, too.
We'll see.
All right. Well, we've gone through everything. We're officially ready for the start of Michelle's season.
And the show begins
on Tuesday.
The next Tuesday, and we'll be back on Wednesdays.
Yes, we'll be back on Wednesdays officially. It's going to be a fun season.
We'll be back on the Mesh Podcast Network, and you can be checking out lots of cool podcasts if you go to the mesh.tv in addition to ours.
Yeah, and if you like what you're hearing from us, feel free to give us a 5-star rating and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
That sounds good.
Okay, so join us next time as we discuss the first episode of Michelle's season from the right perspective and my dad's.